Hello, welcome to my YouTube. So, I have been doing some digging because, as you know, I do not believe you are getting the truth from your mainstream media. I've spoken to you about narratives. I've spoken to you about the mechanics at play behind the scenes when it comes to your news. I've done some more digging, and to me, in my professional opinion, and I will be saying all of these things so I don't get chucked off YouTube before it's even started. King Charles has been working on this with Harry behind the scenes for months, in my professional opinion. I say that because I want to take you back to July. Anyone that follows me on Instagram will have seen on the 11th of July, I posted a post that said, "Damage limitation, the royals want you to see." This was a picture of Harry's aide and King Charles's aide meeting in public, ultimately, on the balcony of the ROSL club. Now, something didn't sit right with me at the time with this coverage, and I spoke about it with Dan Wootton, and I spoke about why this was a setup. The ROSL is a club where King Charles is a patron for. So I thought, okay, so that's obviously making quite a statement that it's on grounds that King Charles wants. Secondly, the image that was taken was of the aides pretending they didn't know there was a photographer right there. And they were all sat talking for 10 minutes. And the picture was taken on ground level looking up, but there is no access to the public. So it could only have been taken by someone that was allowed into the private members club. Now, for anyone that's been to private members clubs, the security is ridiculous. There's nothing in them. They are so boring. You're much better going off down to the local pub. However, they are very stringent in, who they let in and who they don't. So it's absolutely ludicrous for us to even consider that a normal member of the public or a photographer was walking by and took a picture. Not going to happen. These people as well that work for King Charles and Harry, they are not people that we would all recognize straight away. They are not overly recognizable faces because they are the people working behind the scenes. Now, within the article on the Mail on Sunday, the piece went on to read like it had been fully approved. And I say that because it was so positive and so highly curated. This is what I want you guys to look out for. If there is press coverage that is too positive, it is highly likely it has been placed because the mainstream media thrive on negative coverage. They do not like writing positive coverage. It doesn't sell for them. Just look out they will never write about all of the royals, for example, positively. They will always be playing one off against each other like an EastEnders script because if they're all getting on and if they're just opening a swimming pool in Norfolk or going to a library in Oxford, where's the story? We have been conditioned by our mainstream press to want really quite negative news. And so that's why I'm so glad that I can shed light on what actually is going on. Now, my point is, this has been going on for far longer than any of us think. I believe King Charles has been working in the background with his team for months. I do not believe it was, just Harry popped over and this is the first step in the recent trip. No, this is the first step we're knowing about. They have been doing exactly what I said would happen. I told you guys that changing a narrative is drip, 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 and then there's a puddle. So let's go back to July. There was the AIDS meeting and it was starting to be discussed. Is Harry going to be let into the fold or not? Is he coming back? Is Charles going to forgive him? Then Harry comes into the country. They create a bulletproof almost narrative where there's no flexibility. And then he meets Charles. They are telling you what they want you to know. They are not telling you news in real time. This is propaganda. And it is highly curated propaganda. And I want to give you an example from my career. I had a client and I had to rehabilitate their image. And I would have one narrative running in the public and the real narrative of what was going on. And they were two vastly different narratives. And the client would have a book coming out. I would have to read the book and I would say, no, you can't put that in because the narrative, the public narrative as such, it is not as up to speed as what's going on. It's the push pull, it's a stage. And that doesn't mean that the people in the public eye are not real, but it does mean that everything is so highly curated. And this is what has really annoyed me about this coverage, because there is the royals are part of our fabric. They're part of our DNA in this country. And many people feel that Harry has behaved appallingly. And I completely agree with them. But I also think Charles is a weak king. And a lot of people within mainstream or that live in the whole cancel culture world would say, you can't say that because he's got cancer. I thought he was a bad king before he had cancer. I think William has been totally put into the public domain to be played off against Harry, Charles, and I think Catherine's been treated appallingly. And it's really important to remember that part of press is to manipulate, tweak, bend the truth, the narrative. So it is highly curated. And I know that from the example that I've given you, that they met in July, that the pictures that were in the Mail on Sunday were taken illegally if they were taken and printed. And I know that it wasn't illegal because there's no way that the Mail on Sunday would run illegal pictures now. So that means that this was a setup. I can show you all of the receipts, as the kids these days say, the IPSO, the clause, the governing body of the press that says, you must not do this. And that's why I know that this was a setup. And so we go back in time and we know that was set up in July. And so what will happen now? What will the next phase be? Well, I think we are going to have to keep our eyes open very widely, because I do not believe that the mainstream media and King Charles is being transparent with the public. And I think the public deserve absolute transparency. For too long, we have seen our mainstream media operate in ways that are unethical and are not acceptable. And this must stop. If you are being given news, it must be news. They must differentiate between news and highly curated propaganda. So that's your nugget for today. There are a lot more coming, but please, for me, I want to keep my channel free. I want to keep it open for everyone. I do not want to charge for the truth. And all I ask is that you like, comment, and subscribe. Please keep these comments coming. Tell me what you want me to feature. And please continue to support independent journalism, because you will not get this in mainstream media, because it is a game and it is a highly curated game of mechanics. Thank you so much.